Hello and welcome everyone. Thank you so much for joining us today for the WBECS 2020 live coaching demonstration. Please let me know that you can hear me by typing into the Q&A box at the bottom of your Zoom screen where in the world you are joining us from, and let us know if you've seen one of our live demos before. So let's see, who do we have? We have Janice from New York. We have Jackie from Virginia. Gunawan from Jakarta, Angela from City, Sarah from New York, we have Gail from Canada, someone from Singapore, Anna from Milan, Diane from UK, Amy from Cleveland. She says she loves the live demos. Thank you so much for sharing. I will be bringing Marcia Reynolds and Marva Sadler on in just a moment, and we'll be using the Q&A box for all of your questions and comments throughout the session. My name is Eva, and I'm the program manager here at the WBECS group, and I'll be your host for today's session. We also have Meg and Dino joining us to curate your questions and comments. At WBECS here, our mission is to raise the global standard of coaching. And to do this, we offer unique learning experiences delivered online and live. Live demos are very popular amongst our coach community, and the conversations that happen afterwards in the implementation mastery sessions really help you to integrate the techniques you learn into your practice. You can find the implementation mastery session link to join us in the chat box. We'll post that link right now. And I'm told that there are a few seats left, so go ahead, click on the link and reserve your spot. You can also continue the conversation on Facebook by commenting on the link that we are placing in the chat box for you as well. So let's get started. I'm honored to introduce Dr. Marcia Reynolds and our very own CEO, Marva Sadler, as her client for today. Marcia is the president of Co-Visioning LLC, and she's fascinated by the brain, especially what triggers feelings of connection, commitment, and possibility. Marcia has been a student and researcher of how humans learn since earning her second master's degree in adult education. She became fascinated with emotional intelligence and designed a training program that integrates emotional choice with leadership presence, communications, effectiveness, and resiliency. Her latest book, Coach the Person, Not the Problem, A Guide to Using Reflective Inquiry, has been released at the beginning of this month, so make sure to check it out, and I'll let you know we have a little surprise for you, so make sure to stick around until the end of the session. As her client today, we have Marva Sadler, who I'm sure you all know is the CEO of World Business and Executive Coach Summit. An excerpt from her bio says that she's an incredible communicator who excels in building high-performing, positive team cultures based on shared goals, shared accountability, and shared values of honesty, kindness, and respect. And I can personally vouch for that and say that all of us here at WBECS are really lucky to have Marva steer this ship. So welcome, Marcia and Marva. I'm really excited for today's demo. Let's get started.
Thank you. Okay, so I have a few things to share before we get started. Is that okay, Marva? Mm-hmm. Okay. So I know that there's a lot of different philosophies around coaching and approaches, and I have a specific philosophy and approach that I would love for you to listen for how I use this in coaching. In a way that's generative, like how can you then implement some of these things yourself? So I really come from the school that we are a thinking partner, that people get stuck in their thinking, and especially the more emotions there are, like right now, the more rigid is their thinking, and they need this external disruptor, is what it's called in neuroscience, to make people stop and really think about, is what I thinking and how I see things, is it really serving me now? So my approach is to really look at people that they are smart and resourceful and they're just stuck. And how can I help them expand their thinking to see things on their own, which is really a transformational approach instead of just looking at the problem and what are the other possibilities that are out there. So I use what's called reflective inquiry, where I help people to really activate their observer mind and look down on their thinking. And it's reflective because you're going to hear me use a lot of reflective statements, summarizing, paraphrasing, maybe metaphor, in addition to questions, because I think questions come from the reflection and certainly out of curiosity and not memory. So I like to play back. So again, people can examine their stories to see how my past is informing my present. And are these beliefs that I'm holding that were created in the past affecting how I'm seeing the present and the future on what else is possible? So this then should shift my sense of who I am in this moment that I'm calling reality. And that's really the focus, I believe, of coaching. And again, you heard I've been studying change for well over 30 years, and I have found this is the best technology we have to help people change their behavior, because when I shift who I think I am and how I see the world, then I shift what it is that I'm going to do. We call this insight-based learning instead of fact-based learning and fear-based learning, that we're expanding the view. So it's not just changing, it's expansion of what else is possible and how I see the world and myself. So again, I like to use a lot of reflection, noticing, sensing what's going on. And it may make them feel uncomfortable. That's okay. We're not there to make them feel better. We're there to make them see better. So look for the way I use reflection when I coach, how I receive. I call it non-reactive empathy, how I share, and then the use of questions after. And you're going to hear I use closed questions as well as open in trying to really drill down and clarify how the person's, my client sees things. So I do sense what's going on, but I don't get stuck in their stories. And this is what I call non-reactive empathy. And using compassionate curiosity. So I'm not just interrogating. So again, and if you please go to the IM sessions, I will be attending one of those, and to look at how I use these skills and allow the full processing of emotion and create the space to where hopefully Marva feels she can fully open up and be who she is, which I have no problem. She always does that anyway, which is a delight. Whoops. So I gave away a little hint, but I'm going to stop my share. So again, I know that was quick, but I'm hoping it gives you some focus of what to listen for to inform the conversations you then have afterwards on how you will use this for your coaching to expand how you use coaching with your clients, and hopefully to make a difference, have more breakthroughs in thinking, so we can all see possibilities beyond where we are right now. All right. Are you ready, Marva?
I'm as ready as I'm going to be, Marcia.
Okay. Well, thank you for this. And I so appreciate you showing up in this capacity as a leader, and your willingness to go through the process and be open with everyone who's attending. So thank you.
Well, thank you for the opportunity to get some of the best coaching of my life, because I know, and you know, I really believe that if we represent coaches, that we need to practice what we preach, that we need to be willing to be coached and willing to be vulnerable in that coaching, in order to truly explore and experience what we're asking coaches to learn to do with their clients.
Yeah. The practice is so important. Is so important, as well as the listening and watching, but the practice. So thank you for that. And I know you've thought a lot about what you'd like to explore today. So I'm wondering, what it is that's most on your mind that would be useful to address in our conversation?
What I have really pondered quite a bit, and not just in preparation for this, but because it is sincerely is concerning me, is, we are living in interesting times. And what I have seen in my own reactions, in my team's reactions, and in the past few weeks in the larger community is what I would call a hyper reactivity. It feels like everyone is so close to the edge of their kind of anxiety threshold or their overwhelm threshold that I see myself and my team. We seem to be reacting to each other more than responding to each other. We seem to be highly sensitive about things that normally wouldn't be so sensitive, and we seem to be jumping to conclusions where I look at it and think, I don't know how we got to that conclusion, because it feels like there are assumptions being made that are assumptions of negativity. And I'd like to figure out, how can I model the right behaviors, and also how can I encourage my team and even the community to model the right behaviors in a way that we can just back off that cliff.
Okay, so there's a lot.
Yeah, it's a big ask.
Yeah. So let me just kind of parse out a little bit. So I first heard that there's, because of what's going on, the anxiety, the possible negative bias that we have, and the tendency to jump to the conclusion that is coming into your meetings. So I hear that. I heard, so there's, a little bit of managing that, but then you went to, I'd like to model the behavior, and then it's like, well, and I think that'll help in the larger picture. Out of that, the managing the room, modeling the right behavior, and then bringing that out in the world, which is the one that's most meaty for you and really looking at today in our time together?
So am I allowed to call it a combination? I think it's how do I model the behavior in a way that sets the tone for my people, and helps them, because I'm not in all of those interactions, but those interactions that I am in, I hope to be able to set a tone that would be helpful and would demonstrate grace.
Okay, so I want to really, that would be helpful and demonstrate grace. That's what I hear you saying, that the most important thing first is, who am I in these meetings? Can I be that person that truly inspires them through my presence? Right?
Yes.
To be,
yes.
Yeah. Okay, so I get that's what it is you want to create. So I need just to know, where do you feel you are right now in terms of, like, here's what I really want and who I want to be in these meetings, but how am I showing up now?
To be entirely candid, I think I'm probably, most of the time, I'm an 8 out of 10 in terms of showing up properly. And then every now and then, let's say the end of the day or the end of the week, or after a particularly stressful time, I might show up as a 4 or a 5. It's just something's gone on, or there's conflict in my team, and I'm just, there will be moments when I might flare. And I never got to the point where I'm yelling at people, or I'm behaving in ways that are just really out of line, but they're out of alignment with who I am. And that, that's also, I think, an important distinction. It's not about whether I'm out of alignment with other people's expectations of what a leader does. If I'm out of alignment with my own expectations, it still counts.
Okay, that's the big thing, is you don't like it when you show up that way.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So what I'm hearing is that it's the trigger points that normally you're pretty good at this. You do model grace, you do manage, you regulate well. But what you said was end of the day, end of the week. So there's a little bit of tired maybe or something, and the extreme of the emotions they present. So if that's the case, it sounds like that's what needs to be resolved for you, is how do I, and there seems to be two things. Their overreactions at times can trigger you, but also you have these moments where you just like had it to hear. So
Well, and I'm not even sure how much of that is actually coming through to them.
mm-hmm.
You know, because obviously I'm regulating to a great extent while, you know, before it ever comes out. But I am so sensitive to the burdens that each of my team members are carrying. You know, we're in a very stressful time.
Yeah.
The summit is a very burdened time. And, you know, one of the things I ask of them, that I ask of each one of them every day, is that we respond with grace to people who are writing into us or who are calling into us, who are concerned. And that has also escalated. And so I'm asking my people for a greater sense of grace. I want to make sure that I am giving them the room to be able to manage that, and that they are feeling appreciated for that, in as many ways as possible.
Okay, so I'm hearing a little bit different thing. Okay, because I want to just share with you that as we've looked at this, you've recognized that for the most part, you do model grace. And that you just said, I'm not even sure when it comes across that I'm irritated. You know, I've learned how to do that. But what you just said was around, I want to be, there's something about what it is you do for them that you may feel that's maybe missing, you could do better, not up to par. What is it exactly that you can give that you feel needs some work?
Can I give you an example? Because if I had the answer already, I would have asked a different question. So I'm exploring what more could I do, or what could I do differently? And I'll give you an example. A couple of weeks ago, I had a flare up between a couple of members of the team over a highly stressful situation related to a program. And honestly, they were both doing their very best that they knew how to do under the circumstances. They were both very stressed. And what I got, because I wasn't in the meeting that they had been in, was I got each of them coming back to me saying pretty horrific things about the other individual and about the circumstance and in that moment, not truly understanding the entire situation and recognizing the level of distress they were feeling. The best that I could do was to say, I actually choose to believe that this has been triggered by external circumstances. I am going to ask you not to give me all the details of who said what, or take it to HR. I want to help you with this situation, but I do not want to get involved in the individual politics, because if I do, then I have to act. And right now, I'm just going to give you the grace that I don't think you intended to behave the way you apparently behaved. So let's just give you a pass on this one and work towards how we can fix it. But that's kind of an example of the kind of thing that we're seeing that I want us to get better at. I want myself to get better at and make sure that I'm doing the right thing there.
Okay, what makes you think that you didn't do the right thing?
I wasn't entirely comfortable with it. I wasn't entirely comfortable that I helped them get through the discomfort they were feeling or the anger and frustration they were feeling. I think at some level I encouraged them to bury it.
Okay. So this ties into something you said earlier about I want to make sure I give people the space.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And so what you're saying to me is, maybe what you said is okay, but maybe it was too soon, that you cut them off and didn't give them the space.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So and I recognize that you're a leader who wants to handle things. So, is that what it is that you want to create, is something around what you need to do to allow people the space to just be where they are for a moment, at least, before you go into the solution?
Well, but as you said, I'll put it in my words.
Mm-hmm.
I am a person who pushes for results.
Mm-hmm.
I am a person who is very outcome oriented. And so I do believe that it's easy for me to push for results,
Mm-hmm.
and for me to be more focused at times on the outcomes than on the people.
Yeah.
And while I don't want to get to the point, obviously I was hired to do more than, take care of the people. I was hired to deliver results.
Yeah.
I truly believe that the greatest
Mm-hmm.
results come from helping the people unleash their productivity, their own potential.
Yeah.
And when I'm not giving them that space, or when I'm pushing too soon, as you said, I can cut off their ability to find a solution themselves,
Right.
so that they can then step up to a higher level.
Okay. I hear a conflict of values.
Tell me more about that.
Okay. First, I want to say that, yes, I acknowledge how much heart you have and how much you want. This isn't just about getting results. This is about the humans that work for you, and being able for them to have a great experience of being together and resolving these things. I get your compassion and commitment to that in the words and how you speak them. And you were hired. What you said was, I was hired to get results. Okay. So there's this. So how much do I allow for this humanity, but still get results?
Yes.
Okay. So
especially in a time when results are more difficult to come by and the humanity is more on the forefront.
Yeah.
When everything's going along calmly and, focusing on the humanity and getting results is relatively easy. When the results are more difficult and the people are more stressed simultaneously, it becomes a more complex formula.
Okay. So normally you can manage this, right? But everything is pushed to the extremes, so it's making it difficult. What's one thing that's making this difficult for you, Marva, that we could look at?
The one thing I think that's making this difficult is it's the interactions between my people where they step on each other, because they are also so concerned about results, and so this is like a multi-tiered layer cake. They're so concerned about results that they will sometimes jump in too soon to take action in someone else's area of responsibility, because they're worried that otherwise something won't go right. And so I end up with people stepping on each other, where maybe a little more effort to understand one another or to understand what was already going on would have yielded a better, not only better results, but a better relationship and a better understanding of one another.
And did they do this better before all this crisis hit?
Intermittently. I mean, and this is a function of remote organizations with highly dedicated people. There's always a lot going on. We were better at it, and better at giving each other space, and better at respecting one another before the crisis hit.
Okay, so there's emotions that are impacting this. So can we step back and look at your expectations of them in handling?
Absolutely.
All right, thank you. So I hear that it's very frustrating. I notice it's very frustrating for you because you want them to act like a team. They have demonstrated in the past they can, although it's intermittent. But now, with all that's going on, they're stepping on each other, and it sounds to me that that result is a disrespect and creates conflict because people are disrespecting, not really hearing each other. So, what within your expectation of their behavior is realistic in this moment?
So there are two things. I want to back up and say, I am actually more heartbroken than I am frustrated, because I recognize that these are extenuating circumstances and that there is no malintent. Frustration is driven by when you feel like people aren't doing their best. I actually believe people are doing their best, and I'm heartbroken for them that they are so on edge.
Yeah.
But so your question was, what is it about my expectations? Could you repeat the question?
Yeah. I first want to acknowledge that this is coming from your heart of how you want them to feel as they work together and create these amazing things they are on the planet, as you watch this happening. So I want to know, in this moment, though, there is a tenseness, there is extreme going on. And again, I want to bring back to you that you were saying, I want to be able to give them a little bit more space.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So again, I hear a little bit of, I want to give them space. But here's what it is I want for them in being together. I really want that for them, and it hurts me to watch it. So
I want them to be able to give each other more space as well.
Okay,
I
want them to give each other more space. Okay, is that?
I would love for us all to start from a position of positive intent.
Okay, have you spoken that with them?
I think so, but maybe not enough.
All right, so what did you just get out of that moment? Because that seemed to be a big thing for you.
It crystallized down to, I have a conflict. I feel badly about the conflict. I'm trying to give them space. And what actually I think I processed was, it's not just my responsibility to give them space. What clicked with me was, somehow it's giving them or helping them give themselves permission to give each other space by seeking to understand and assuming positive intent, and starting from that place of, we're in this together, how do we get through it, instead of how do we bully each other through it.
Okay, we're in this together, how do we get through that? Okay, what a great inquiry to have with them. Okay, so based on what you just discovered, is there anything that you might do with this now?
Well, it immediately comes to mind, as you said, have I expressed this to them? It immediately comes to mind that I have an opportunity every time I meet with them, every time we have a flare up or we have a disagreement, to express this desire that we come from a place of seeking to understand, and from a place of assuming abundance, that we come from this place of giving each other grace, not just me giving them grace, but that we work together to find the opportunities. and that I not make it all about how do I model this, but really somehow how do I enroll them in modeling this?
So that's really the outcome, is finding the way to enroll them in modeling that. And it sounds like you have a first step in engaging in the conversation. I want to step back on the word. It's not expectation. It sounds like hope. What your hope for them.
Yes, this is not a top-down something I want to impose on them. It really is much more of a, can we find that light that shines from within, and can we grow that light?
That's beautiful. That's great. That's great. That would inspire me if I work for you.
Thank you. I mean it really sincerely. I mean, this is
I know you do. I know
place
you do.
for us to work.
Mm-hmm.
I would want everyone who works here to feel that light.
Yeah. So do you feel, just going back, that you model that light?
Most of the time.
Okay. We can talk about those other times next time we talk.
Yeah, I mean, realistically, I'm not yet at I model it all of the time.
And is that a realistic expectation, Marva? Just want you to just think about that too. You know, how many of us model it all the time? So.
Well, we can all have high aspirations, Marcia.
Yes. And we can call it out when we're like, I know this is what I just did. And so, you know, because what I want for you, Marva, is not just to find a way of having some light shining conversations with your people, but also to give yourself a little bit of space of grace. Okay?
Well, thank you.
Yeah.
That's very kind.
Yeah. You know, and I want to acknowledge that it is a tough balance, getting results and being with, and I hear that you're doing your best to find that way forward. So thank you. So do you feel you have some specific things that you can carry forward?
Honestly, more than I expected. I really feel like the light went on, that that one epiphany of the enrollment and the sharing of the responsibility, that it's not just me modeling, it's all of us finding a way to model that. That is, and that goes all the way to the community, you know.
Absolutely.
Inviting the community to share that spreading of the light.
That's what you're about. That's what WBECS is about. That's the mission. That's the purpose. And maybe that needs to be brought back in to the conversation too. So that's
and that's part of what we're doing today.
Yes. Thank you. Are we good?
Thank you. We're good. I feel like I've got a jewel that I can carry forward now.
Excellent. Thank you. Yeah, you're welcome. You're welcome. And we're right on time.
Good.
Very good.
And this is where we say this was completely unrehearsed.
Yeah. Everyone, I had no idea what she was going to bring to the table. So yeah, thank you for that. Okay. So I was wondering if there was questions that came in. Ava, do you want to share if there were questions?
Yes. Do you want to do that now? Or after you're fine? Okay. So there's a theme question that's actually coming up, saying that not all of our coaches are as reflective as Miss Sadler. So people are wondering how to work with someone who isn't being as reflective as Marva, or someone who is not so aware about themselves.
Interesting. First off, I want to say that I work with all kinds of executives that come to the table a little resistant. But my belief is if we just move into this and I share what's going on and help them think, that usually they shift to sharing. So their hesitation, their resistance doesn't last. So I'm very careful about saying someone's not coachable. You know, understanding their resistance is usually based in fear. What will I have to share? What's going to show up? Will I be naked? in this conversation. And before they know it, they're naked anyway. And it's okay. And they may get mad at me and I don't care, because again, I'm not there to make them feel comfortable. I'm there to make them see beyond where they're stuck right now. But I also think it's important to call out process. So I had this great opportunity to do 2 demos down in Singapore for the ICF chapter. And it was great because the second one was, she was right on. She really wanted to be coached. But the first one, she was hesitant throughout the whole thing. And I kept calling it out, saying, well, it sounds as if you continually want to say that they're at fault and you're not looking at actions and differences that you might take. I called out the process. I share what I'm noticing in the moment. I have no problem with that. I think it's important. She moved forward a bit, and at the very end, she came up with an action. But the action, the way she stated it, there was no commitment. And I said, I don't feel you're going to go out and do this. I feel, I noticed hesitation as you spoke. And not a commitment to the action in terms of when you might do it, what you might say. And she said, yeah, you know what? I don't know anything about this coaching. My friend told me I should just come watch, and I don't really want to do this. I hate these people. I want to move on. I'm like, well, okay now. So tell me what you just learned from what you just shared. And we were able to really close it out with what it is she needs to do for herself next in a very brief time. So call out the process of what you hear, what you sense, what's happening in this moment. Don't just let it go on. I think that's critical. But again, trust that initially people are not that open because they're afraid of opening up, and that's okay. So we go at the pace of our client. And what is it that you need right now? Where can we go right now in this? But always have a destination. What would you like to get out of this conversation? What might that look like? If you get no destination, you can't really coach them.
Thank you. And I just want to say there's so much appreciation for both Marcia and Marva's vulnerability and honesty in the chat box. So thank you so much for that. Hanita is saying how this has been very inspiring as you're both so transparent as you participate in this live demo. And she's wondering, she saw that, Marcia, you have not taken any notes. She's wondering if this is normal for you in your sessions. And if yes, how do you record the information for your next session? And has it taken you years to get to that place?
No, I trust that I listen for key words. So you saw me go back to some things she said, because those were key words that stood out for me. And I'll remember those key words and I can tie them together. I believe, occasionally I write down a key word, but only a key word. I believe that if you're sitting there taking notes, you are not being present, and it creates a barrier between you and your client. So there are countries I go to where they're like, and I'm like, as I mentor them, please put your notes down and just see what happens. Just see what happens. And it's amazing when you trust that the right thing will come through. And even if you're wrong, who cares? They'll tell you you're wrong. As Marva did, she said, it's not really frustration. It was heartbreak. That's okay. That took her to a deeper place. So I can be dead wrong, in what I noticed, because then they'll correct me and we can go somewhere else. So I need to trust that ability. So, and afterwards, if this is an ongoing thing, I will take a couple notes of what is it she committed to do. Maybe what was the main interest, like what was the conflict and what she committed to do, but 2 sentences. I have to say, I live in the United States, and people like to sue. And if you work with someone in a company and there's a lawsuit around firing or something like that, they can come in and take our records. So be very careful about record keeping, because we're not protected. And so that's part of why I don't take bigger notes. But that's all I need to know for our next session.
Great. Do you want to take one more question, Marcia?
Sure.
Paige was wondering, can you tell us more about using closed questions in your coaching? How do you do that?
Yeah. Well, I hope you heard that I use both. At the very beginning of trying to understand what it is that she really wants, you saw I parsed it out, that, she mentioned a couple of situations and a couple of desires. I laid it out and asked which one. Okay, that's really a closed question, because I'm really trying to get her drilled down to, where are we going with this? What is it you want to achieve right now in this time together? And looking at beliefs and assumptions, I may reflect it and ask, is that right? Okay, so it's a closed question. I'm just trying to verify and confirm. And I will do a lot more of that up front. Once we get clear on where we're going, then I open up the questions more into, so, what makes you feel this way? How is it that you see this situation? What's really the trigger in those moments? It'll be more open as I move forward. And then I might even close with some closed questions, is that the step that you want to take? Was that the most important thing? So again, it's for clarifying and confirmation. I think it's essential. And I will use closed questions to do that. But on balance, I think you'll find I use both if you went back and counted them. Hope so.
Great. Thank you. Do you want one more? There's so many questions, and obviously we won't get to all of them. Just a reminder, you can continue this conversation on Facebook. The link is still in the chat box, and we'll post it again a little bit later. But let's take one more. Oh, you'll be there. Wonderful. Robin is wondering, what is it specifically in the reflective approach that makes it more reflective than pure coaching?
That's fascinating that you would say it's not pure coaching. So it's like, I think sometimes it's not the way the schools teach, is how we interpret, and I love that the ICF has changed the wording of their competency. So there's no more powerful questions, that it's all about evoking awareness. They've never said this was a questioning process. Coaching is a reflective inquiry process. There's always been reflecting what you hear, what you notice, what you sense, has always been a part of the ICF competencies, and the way those of us that ascribe to that teach it. That people have said, I call it the cult of the magical question, that they think it's all about the question. No, that's not pure coaching. Reflection, remember, I'm a thinking partner. I want you to take your story out and put it in your hand and look at it. I'm activating what's called the observer mind, which we cannot do on our own, especially if there's emotions present. All right, so I'm allowing you to separate yourself from your stories, but to look at your stories, which means I need to use a lot of reflection so you can actually look at and feel your story. So, and then I'll ask the questions based on the reflection. This is reflective inquiry, not just questioning.
Thank you so much. I see Marva turn her camera on.
I did turn my camera on because I wanted to say two things. I noticed in the questioning, some people were asking, how did I feel about this session? And I wanted to say, it was genuinely, legitimately a very valuable and powerful session for me. I came with what you obviously all understood was a pretty amorphous issue that I had not yet managed to wrestle into very clear confines. And Marcia really helped me to draw that down to a specific point that something could be done. Because I kind of, as I started to talk about it, it got bigger and bigger, and she had to help me bring it back. And this was truly not scripted, or, I didn't even warn her what the issue was I was coming up with. We didn't talk about it ahead of time.
No, and it's 6:45 in the morning for me, so I certainly didn't think about it.
but there is something I wanted to do before we kind of let you wrap up, Eva, and that is the gift that we promised at the end of the session. So we have made an arrangement with Marcia's publisher that we have copies, electronic PDF copy of her book available. And I wanted to offer each of you who have attended this session today, if you will send a message to support@wbecs.com saying, Marva offered me the book, we will get you a link to download a copy of the book as our gift to you. And I think that this is such an important thing for us to do, and such a wonderful opportunity to share that we just, we have a limited number of books available. They're electronic, but we still have a limited number of licenses available. But if you're interested, just send that note to support@wbecs.com and say, Marva offered me the book, and we will send you a link.
Thank you.
Thank you, Marcia.
Thank you, ladies. Thank you so much. Before we let you go, I just want to emphasize that these live coaching demonstrations were created based off of feedback from our coach community. So please take a few moments to share your input via the poll that I will be launching in just a second. You should be seeing it right now. And thank you to both Marcia and Marva again for doing this wonderful live demonstration. We'll be featuring many more live demos in our full summit. So if you are newer to coaching or even more experienced, they will offer a fantastic way to gain some new perspectives on how to help your clients get even better results. You can view the entire schedule and package options of the full summit on the link that we're posting in the chat box right now. That's wbecs.com/full summit. The full summit will start in July, but we are offering our super early pricing at this time, which will save you up to $750 off our most popular package, which is the Pro Coach membership. And I'll talk more about that in just a minute. We know you have many demands on your time, and I truly appreciate you choosing to spend this time with us. Up next at 1 p.m. Eastern Time, we have Cy Wakeman speaking about hardwiring accountability into your workforce and coaching for great performance. If anyone has any questions about the summit, I'd be happy to stay to answer some of those. And for now, let's excuse Marcia and Marva, and I'll stay on to help you. Thank you so much again, ladies.
Yay, thank you. Bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
For those of you who have to go as well, have an amazing rest of your day. And for those of you who want to stay, let me just open up the Q&A box and see what questions might you have about the full summit. Let's see. Is a recording available of the session? Wendy is asking. So yes, we'll be sending you a recording of this session next Monday. So all of this week's pre-summit sessions will be recorded and sent to you next Monday at 8 a.m. Eastern Time, and you'll have access to them for the next 48 hours. Hope this helps. Let's see what else. So much appreciation for Marcia and Marva. Let me see. Dino or Meg, can you see any questions? I need to scroll through all of the comments to get to the latest ones. Anything that you see that is helpful? The IM sessions. So can we post the link to the IM sessions, please, in the chat box? Again, we've opened some more slots for the IM sessions. I hope you can get your seat. There's a few questions about the full summit package options. So let me talk a little bit more about that. There are essentially 3 packages, and each of them gives you many inclusions, and you have access to all live online sessions. The core gets you access to live online sessions only. The enhanced gets you the live sessions, the recordings, and the downloads. And the Pro Coach membership level gives you live sessions, recordings, slides, transcripts, notes. It's our new package, and it's very popular. You can get all of those differences if you click on the wbecs.com//summit and just scroll down to the bottom of your page. You'll see all of those 3 packages listed next to each other and the differences between them. Let's see what else. Okay, Iris was wondering about the full package options. We have that. Lori, you can sign up Dino, can we put the registration link for Lori in the chat box as well? She's wondering how to register for a size session. Lori will put that in the chat box for you if you are still on the call. Hopefully you are. If you want to receive the copy of Marcia's books, email support@wbecs.com. How many sessions of the full summit are in 2021? We'll post a link to the full schedule in the chat box for you. The full summit runs for, I think it's 9 months. So it starts in July and it ends in April. And there are tons of sessions. Dino or Meg, can we please post that question into the chat box? Okay, what else do we have? EMCC and ICF Accreditation. Great question. Thank you, Carol. So how the ICF Accreditation works is essentially you can get up to 219 CC units if attending the full summit. And those are broken down into core competency and resource development credits. We have that breakdown and we'll put that link into the chat box for you as well. Dino or Meg, can you please put the link to the breakdown of core competency and resource development credits in the chat box so that people can see how many exactly can they get in the full summit. What else? About EMCC, so thanks for that question. It's a great one. By participating in a full summit, you can get recommended for an EMCC Global Accreditation. Plus, you'll get a 70% discount on accreditation fees, which are available exclusively for the Pro Coach Full Summit Pass holders. By attending every full summit session, you'll get 240 hours of CPDs, which is, they call it continuing professional development credits. If you attend 20 hours of sessions, you'll get EMCC accreditation at the foundation level. And if you attend 150 hours of sessions, you'll get the practitioner level. I hope this makes sense. I know it's a little bit complicated, and this is the first time that we are doing this with partnering with EMCC. If you have more questions, feel free to email our support team. Let's see. A lot of people asking about the IM sessions, so the link is in the chat box. And so just click on that. I hope there are still some spots left. They tend to fill up quickly. What else? Dino or Matt, can you help me out? Am I missing anything? Anything valuable to answer to coaches that are still on the call? Thank you so much for staying on with us.
Hi, Eva. There's one. So how do people get into the IM sessions that they booked?
So once you book the IM session, you should receive an email straight away. You should receive an automatic confirmation to your email. So just go to your email inbox and there'll be a link that will that you'll click on to join the session. If you're having any issues, support@wbecs.com. Our wonderful support team will be able to help you. I saw one earlier here. So email to receive the book, again, support@wbecs.com. Can we put that, actually, I'll type it in. So support@wbecs.com for any questions. And if you want to receive the copy of Marcia's book, that's where you can send your email to. Also, if you have any questions and you want to speak live to our support team and to our graduates, so we have a group of coaches who are ready to answer all your questions about the full summit. How will it apply to your practice? Will it be valuable? So just feel free to call that number and schedule a call. They're happy to talk to you. Oh, happy to talk about the Pro Coach membership. Thank you for that question. So it's actually our new package, and it gives you a membership where you will get access to both the full summit and our brand new business development track. So we have these masterminds that will be led by our Chief Strategy Officer, Zion Kim, who's really great. So you don't want to miss those sessions. And what you're going to talk about and learn in these sessions are basically how to get more clients, how to market yourself, how to develop a list of leads on LinkedIn. So it's going to be really, really value packed. You'll also get access to a coach community that we are developing and a coach directory as well. And you'll be able to join a community of coaches that are growing their practice based on what they're working on now. We'll also have these live masterminds. We'll have expert speakers. We'll have Q&As, panel discussions, and all of that will be in addition to the existing library of resources. So it's a really great package. We wanted to make sure that you are getting the utmost value for your money. So I hope we managed to do that this year. The recordings of last pre-summit, to be honest, I don't know if last pre-summit recordings are still available. Our support team will surely know the answer to that question. So go ahead and send them an email. The study buddy discount is $100. So thanks, Claudia. And discounts are not stackable. So if you are an ICF member, you get a discount for being an ICF member. If you bring on a study buddy, that's a separate discount. They are not stackable. Thanks for this question. Anything else before you wrap off? I know a lot of you are scheduled to join your mastermind, sorry, not masterminds, implementation mastery sessions. Anything else that you see in the chat, in the Q&A box, Meg or Dino? No? Okay. Thank you so much again for being on with us today. Just a quick reminder, the super early bird price ends on June 25th, so that's in 10 days. Go ahead and go to the wbecs.com / summit and book your slot for the full summit. We are looking forward to seeing you there. Thank you so much for joining today's session. Have a wonderful rest of your day.